everyone. Welcome to the Epic Vision Zone. My name is Jane Applegath, an award-winning stockbroker, television producer, scriptwriter, yoga instructor, and serial entrepreneur, now founder of the Epic Vision Zone. I'm here to help you fulfill your big dream by showing you how to create a vision so powerful it becomes the portal to your messaging, your money, and meaning. Because I know that having access to the right words and a vivid idea are the keys to cultivating connections, financial freedom, and living a more abundant and joyful life. I'd be honored to help you get there. Feel free to contact me by going to my contact page at janeapplegath.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Here at the Epic Vision Zone, we bring you some of the world's most influential people to inspire you to hit the go button on your epic life. A big thank you to everyone for being here. Pablo Picasso wrote, "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." Priscilla Stephan is an intuitive business strategist and creator of the Soulfluent Leadership Archetypes and the amazing Soulfluent Leadership Business Guide. A Columbia University graduate with a master's degree in international affairs, Priscilla spent 2 decades working with environmental leaders only to find herself burnt out, lost, and wondering if she'd ever find her calling. After a year-long sabbatical and soul-searching, she came upon the Akashic Records, also known as the Book of Life, and discovered her gift, providing intuitive business and leadership guidance so that people can work in their zone of genius, live their purpose profitably, and make an impact in the world their way. Rooted in the principle that the path to a successful, purpose-driven business starts from within, Priscilla shows you how to achieve the extraordinary in life and business by helping you get clear on your soul's vision for leadership first. This, she says, is the key to creating more impact, profits with grace and ease and joy. And we'd all love to get there. Welcome, Priscilla. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Jane. And hi to all our listeners. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you, and I want to delve right in because Priscilla has one of the most useful reference guides I have ever put my hands on, but we'll get there in a moment. First of all, love our audience to understand a little bit about your journey. You went from corporate jobs to becoming an entrepreneur. Tell us a little bit about that and what led you into that.
It was unexpected, it was unplanned, and at times utterly excruciatingly painful. I went through 3 very serious career changes in my almost 11 years as a coach. That has gone through 3 iterations already as well. I started out with a graduate degree from Columbia in international environmental policy, worked at the World Wildlife Fund for 5 years in their DC office, traveled through Latin America, helping high-level government leaders create policies that would support environmental conservation. In the 10 years that I was in that field, I realized that it just felt like a really uphill battle. I didn't feel like my contribution was really yielding the level of impact that I had hoped it would, or even that the environmental movement was. And as important as it is, I lost my ability to be in it, and I craved more self-expression. And then I started my first business importing Brazilian accessories. I'm Brazilian by birth. I did that for a little while, but then it really took me another 5 years of serious soul searching to figure out what I wanted to do. And it was very painful. And then kind of stumbled upon health coaching, which was a way to help me combat 30 years of emotional eating and gaining and losing 30 pounds every year or so. And then that yielded a health coaching certification. And then I began helping women with emotional eating, which turned out to really be career coaching, oddly enough, because people were eating because of the misalignments in the work that they were doing. And then I stumbled upon the Akashic Records, which we'll talk about later, and realized that it was really that missing piece that I had hoped for, and then started doing business stuff, and then eventually leadership and business. So it was unexpected. I mean, I didn't even know that what I do today existed, so I couldn't have even planned for it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that and being vulnerable, because it is a often choppy journey. And we often hear from individuals who are who are successful now, but when we start, it's often, we're feeling our way. And like you said, you weren't sure, you tried this one, you tried that one. And in a sense, you're a serial entrepreneur. I mean, very much so, in this, that you tried different things, and you came full circle to what you have right now. So that is amazing. And I encourage everyone to take heed, because we don't always find our calling right away. And often we get frustrated. And I know that leads to a lot of issues, as well, as I'm sure you do too. So delving into now the Akashic Records, you say that you came upon them during your 1-year sabbatical. What are they, and how did they influence you?
Yeah, so the Akashic Records, it's hard to describe something that's ethereal. It's really a way to connect to your soul guides. And the Akashic Records, also called the Book of Life, is really an ethereal space that really documents everything about your soul through every lifetime through its existence. And so it's a way to provide healing through multiple lifetimes. It is a way to provide clarity on how to live your best life and to be empowered. It's not a place where your guides will just be like, okay, just do this and then everything will be magical. It's not predictive or psychic. It is a way where in a way, it's like almost like soul mentorship, right? Where your guides are supporting you in being more empowered and trusting yourself and being clearer on what you want to do, and supporting you along the way, providing healing. The space of the records, the energy of the Akashic Records is of love and truth. And so it is a very loving, kind space where nothing is shared that you're not ready for. And you can ask questions about anything. It's just one thing where it's important that your will is respected, meaning you can't enter someone else's Akashic Records without their permission. And every time I open someone's records in a reading or as part of my coaching programs, I always ask them, do I have permission to open your records? Meaning, do I have permission to enter this sacred space, to connect to your guides and to provide you, to be the messenger of the guidance that's here for you? It's very much a place of, the records are a great tool to remind us of our own sense of personal accountability and responsibility in our lives. And it's a tool to help us heal and to grow spiritually and to be joyful and to really embrace the fullness of the magic that life has to offer us.
So am I hearing you right that we all within ourselves carry Akashic Records? Is that it? Or I'm just a little bit confused. I thought maybe it was a book.
It is called the Book of Life, in that, the word records is in there. It's really a compilation, a record, right? Or sometimes called a library. I call it the Harry Potter library. If you ever watch the Harry Potter movies, like, their libraries just with all those moving stairs, like it's an infinite record of everything about our soul. And so there's multiple records, but pretty much think of it this way. Everything that has a consciousness has an Akashic record to it, has an energy about it. So your business, my book, your relationships, your health, our planet, a tree, your property, everything has its own Akashic records. It has its own energy and its own consciousness that you can tap into and ask it for guidance. A thunderstorm, a hurricane, everything that has a consciousness, your pet, your children, has an Akashic record to it, has a way that you can tap into that energy and ask it, commune with it, communicate with it, and ask it for guidance.
Wow,
And everyone
that's
has the ability to connect to the Akashic records, by the way. It's like prayer, right? Everyone has the ability to pray, right?
right.
And you can learn how to read your own Akashic records. There are books about it. You can take courses, which is what I did. So it's not something that's unique or special about me. And I think that's really important to know, because I'm here to empower people to know that they have the ability to access their own guides, their own spiritual guidance system. There's nothing special or unique about me in the ability to do this.
That, thank you. That was very useful. So it's like our internal guidance system in a sense, but everything has it, not just an individual, like you said, a tree, a pet, everything. So
A
yeah,
book,
the
your
three.
business, a partnership, everything has an Akashic record that you can open your own Akashic records, and that will give you access to everything that's related to you. Or you can open the Akashic records of a book, of your business, of your show, of a podcast, of anything, if you want to go even more specific.
Okay, I'm in. I'm I love it. I think it sounds fantastic. I'm a very curious individual, so we'll have to chat after, but that sounds amazing. I understand, because the law of energy and so on and so forth, but let's not get sidetracked. So thank you so much for that explanation. Leading from the soul. Okay, I love the name that you've coined, the Soulfluent Leadership. What does that mean, to lead from the soul?
I like to think of it personally as that commitment to lead with integrity and with a deep sense of personal alignment to your core values and what's true to you. It's to lead from that deep place of truth and love within yourself, that place that always is here to support you, that energy that's always here to guide you, that transcends this worldly plane, that transcends logic, and that embraces the fullness of the essence of you that is, I guess, eternal. And I think that Soulfluent was a term that was given to me by my guides in the Akashic Records, because I was like, I've got to give a name to these darn archetypes. What do you have? And they said Soulfluent. So Soulfluent is really the ability to be fluent in your language, in your soul's leadership language. So what that means is having ease and mastery in understanding how your soul naturally operates and expresses itself, which in my body of work means understanding your archetype. Your archetype, which we'll talk about, we have 5 in my book, really is an amalgamation of the key aspects of what makes you at a soul level. Now, what are the energies that you bring to the table? How do you tend to naturally express yourself? What makes you naturally, innately, magically brilliant and you? And so that's really the promise of Soulfluent Leadership, and for Soulfluent leaders to be fully themselves as they create a world that supports the greater good and that creates win-win-wins for everyone to thrive, not a select or privileged few.
Beautiful. I keep
It's
the
a
word
mouthful.
often. No, but it really resonates. I keep coming up with authenticity. It's the vibration that you emanate when you're being in your authentic or your soulful self, because that's when you make the connection. So yes, it's beautiful. That was really nice. And you did mention about the archetypes. So tell us about the Soulfluent Leadership Archetypes and why they matter.
Yes. So to encapsulate first, I say that when you know yourself better, you lead better, because you know what makes you tick. You know what you're really good at. You know your zones of genius. And you really can show up in that resonance and in that vibration, as you were saying, of being deeply and truly yourself, which is no small feat, as we know, right? And so in 2016, my guides asked me to write a short little book. And I thought, great, sure. So the book became a 165-page body of work. It's not the business guide, by the way. It was where they gave me all these archetypes. And I had to figure out what to do with them, understand them, and then how to market them and to explain them to other people. But in essence, the Soulfluent Leadership Archetypes are 5. There's the mystic, which I am the mystic, and I'll go into them a little bit if you want. There's the visionary, which is the disruptor, the innovator. There's the strategist, which streamlines really complex data and information in ways that us, the general public, can assimilate. Think of scientists, astronomers, people in finance. Things are really complex, and we're like, how do you do that exactly? Then there's the explorer, which is very much about dreaming, putting dreams into action, connection, possibilities, living and leading experientially. They kind of like jump and then they learn how to swim. And then there's the divine feminine, which is about community and collaboration. Their businesses are designed for the community, by the community, and with the community. And the mystics, since I started talking about it, we use our intuitive, creative, and healing abilities to elevate consciousness and to really create peace and harmony and well-being in the world. Mystics can be coaches, healers, artists, it can be doctors, it can be all kinds of modalities that help people understand themselves better. And then the visionaries are bold, brazen, and they are all about being strategic and efficient and really genuinely disrupting powerfully, boldly the status quo and creating innovative ways. Really, I don't think in the book, the way it says is that our world wouldn't be what it is without the visionaries, that we're bold enough to think, well, this doesn't work. There has to be a better way. We're going to not only find that way, but we're going to create it, and we're going to blow up the old systems. So again, the mystic, the visionary, the strategist, the explorer, and the divine feminine. We have all 5 archetypes within us. We have all different kinds of archetypes within us. Archetypes are simply an amalgamation of energies that are in the collective unconscious, so much so that if we mention the word mother or goddess or warrior, it conjures up ideas and images and energies and adjectives for us to contemplate. But we tend to, in our work, in our business, to have a dominant archetype. And the archetypes, by the way, can shift, almost like shifting gears in a car, depending on the cycle of business that you're in, but even more importantly, in your own personal and spiritual evolution. There might be other energies that you're being asked to embody, access, and to embrace. And so that sometimes I've gotten clients that are more mystical, more mystics, and then they're being asked to step into bolder, more disruptive energies like the visionary, or to create community and deeper levels of collaboration, which might fall under the guise of the divine feminine.
I have nothing to add. It was really informative. Thank you. You rendered me speechless. I'm like, okay, tell me more. I'm just fascinated.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. So tell me then quickly, within your book, which we'll get into a little bit later, but is there an exercise there that one can use in order to discover their dominant archetype?
Yes, there's a quiz. In the book, at the back of the book, there's a quiz, but also if you go to priscillastephan.com/quiz, there's a 3-minute quiz that will tell you what is the dominant archetype that you have been currently operating from. And what's so, important, and I see here on the screen, it's in the book too, like leveraging your archetype is really about understanding what makes you tick, right? What is the brilliance and the genius that you bring to the table, and really operating from your innate, natural, potent strengths as you lead not only in life, but start business, right? Because the people that I work with within the framework of the archetypes is specifically for people that are creating, growing, and scaling conscious businesses, right? Businesses that are supporting the greater good. They're purpose-driven businesses that have a clear mission to create win-win-wins for all, right? And not just for profit or It's really people that are creating new paradigms of what's possible for the world so that all thrive, not just a few. And the key part to making that process easier, as you were saying in my introduction, is to stop trying to be someone you're not, to stop marketing yourself in ways that feel inauthentic and icky and just feel off, to trust yourself when you're going to take a bold leap that might make absolutely no sense. Somewhere, all success formulas might say, this is absolutely not the way you do it, or you should be doing this. And you're like, no, because I know myself enough. I know my skills. I know my energies. I know how I create, and I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to be fully myself. And the archetypes are really a permission slip to understand and access yourself and the energy is about you so that you can be fully self-expressed in how you work. Part of the reason we're so burned out in business, part of the reason we're so burned out, besides all the hustle culture and all that BS that we were told, is that we are suppressing, compartmentalizing, and suppressing such key parts of what makes us uniquely ourselves. I'm playful. I also curse a lot, the New Yorker in me, right? So
Really?
I like sparkles and pink things, I like accessories. I like to be colorful. Like, these are parts of what make me me. This is part of the resonance, that magnetism. And if we are to create a better world for all, and through the vehicle of our business, through the energy of our messaging, through our personalities, wouldn't it just be nice to be ourselves so that we can then really, in essence, be that frequency match, so that it's just kind of, there's a magnetism that comes to that. And there's also terror that comes with it. Like, well, what are people going to think, and all of that comes with it. But then I think many of us are just so tired of being so sick and tired that we're like, well, if it's going to be this awful anyway, I might as well just be myself and enjoy myself. And if people aren't going to like me, which they're not going to always anyway, at least I'm going to like me. And there's something to be said for that. There's a lot to be said for that.
Oh, yes. That's very powerful. That absolutely. But you're right. We unfortunately are put in boxes since we're young, and we're taught to conform. And conformity is the opposite of letting ourselves be who we really are. And then it's almost like we have to unlearn that. So yes, this is a fabulous, fabulous process. I am so glad we have connected. What can I say?
Yes, and just to add too, very quickly about boxes, that I don't want the archetype or your assessment of your archetype in any way to be a limitation, or to be, like, I'm going to lock and load myself into this, and this is who I am, and this is how I have to be. It's simply an invitation to take what resonates and then apply that as a way to amplify your own sense of self-expression, and to give yourself permission to do things and to be in a way that's fully your own. There's so many personality tests, right? From human design, astrology, Myers-Briggs. Use what resonates, but this is never meant in any way to box us in, but in a way as a tool to liberate us out of the boxes.
Right. It's a guide.
Just a guide.
Absolutely a guide. Yes, absolutely. Well, that being said, I read in your book that you call yourself an edge worker. Tell us about that term and what that means.
Yeah, I learned about that term maybe last year, and it was termed by this man called Charles Eisenstein. I don't know. I try to Google him to understand, but I really like the term, and it's really, I'm going to botch it a little bit, but on my website, I think I describe it as someone that is here kind of on the edge of the leading edge of what mainstream is, and in the sense that they are here to create paradigms that transcend and disrupt the mainstream and the status quo paradigms that exist right now. And in so doing, to help other edge workers, people that are creating new systems and paradigms and ways of being and thinking that that are greater and more efficient and better than what we have, to help them navigate the choppy waters and the ups and downs that come with the burden, the responsibility, the vision, the fear of kind of swimming upstream to what everyone else is doing. We feel the calling and we feel compelled to do that, to create a different paradigm, a better way, which is part of what the Soulfluent Leadership Archetypes are about. It's about a better way of doing business, of leading, unhooking from all those boxes and those systems and all the stuff that we've been taught about marketing, about leadership, about business that really doesn't work for us, not certainly for the future of the planet, probably humanity, and to give ourselves permission to do things our way. And I think when I read that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I kind of felt like, oh, that's why it's felt so hard so many times. And I do feel like I'm, going upstream, and I, generally operating on faith the last 6 years as I just willfully and consciously gave myself to this work to see where it would go. And so I think it's for people that are creating conscious businesses or conscious leaders, and I don't love the term conscious, but who are creating businesses that are for the greater good. It can, we are clearly creating different paradigms, and they are kind of ahead of their time. And so it can be tricky to hold the faith and to hold that vision as consciousness, as society, as people kind of start to wake up to what that conversation that we are offering can offer them and the world as well.
Right. It's a waking up to letting go, almost.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. A waking up to letting go, because you're right. I mean, and even in the business trainings, you're right. And certain coachings, you're still, you're trying to push yourself into that model because you want to be successful, and but they don't say, like you have, that it's just a guide, that don't put yourself there if it doesn't resonate with you. Because someone built a business this way, it doesn't mean that that's the way you build it, because it's unique to you. Because you're right, we're all different. I'm not necessarily a planner. I'm much more a creative. And when I make that attempt to do all the strategic part, it really stresses me. And it's because it's not in alignment with who I really am. But if it's creative, I am just like, I'll spend hours and just lost in a world. So that is beautiful. I love that. So marketing on your own terms. There's a testimonial in your book that says that you don't have to hate marketing anymore. Boy, that's a powerful statement, and it just jumped out at me. So that gives us radical permission, you say, to do business on our own terms. Now, we touched a little bit on that, but tell us how that coincides with the marketing, because I know that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially, deal with marketing all the time. And let's face it, today it gets very noisy.
It does. I think many of us, either solopreneurs or conscious leaders and entrepreneurs, at some point either start out or end up hating marketing because there's certainly the visibility aspect of putting yourself out there, and it can feel vulnerable, but there's also the conventional, I think it's called kind of bro marketing, that's like, here's a one size fit all template kind of formula model, follow this and you will be successful. But then we do it doesn't work, we feel broken, we feel like maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Believe me, I've been there many times. And it was disheartening, frustrating, and utterly heartbreaking, and soul crushing, because you're like, well, my dream's not going to come true because I followed the model. I put all this money and all this effort, in my case, 12-hour days, sometimes 7 days a week when I started off, and it's not working. And where do you go from there? Not to mention that, sales, like pushing on people's pain points on sales conversations, or switching pricing around, or doing things that you're like, this does not align with my values. This does not feel in integrity, and this does not feel authentic. In fact, just before our interview, I was actually talking to the person that gave that testimonial, because she's inviting me to have a conversation with her community of culture makers. And this is exactly what she said. She said, they're saying no to traditional marketing, right? They're saying no to conventional marketing. And she says, I give them permission to realize that what they're feeling is not just in their head, that their moral objection to the way marketing that feels icky is genuine and true, and the marketing often the way that they've perceived it, especially in the coaching world, which I can certainly speak to, but there's a lot of it in the general world, is not aligned with their principles, and that they're not the problem, and they certainly aren't broken. It's just a toxic, misaligned approach that does not take into account who you are, what you want, and your values. But there is a better way, right? And so she said, well, when I invite people to say no to all of the stuff that feels bad. I'm literally quoting what she just told me because I was writing down. She said, then I have to tell you, I have to replace it with what you can say yes to, which she actually very nicely said, your book is an example of what to say yes to, because it gives you permission to do things your way in total alignment with what feels genuine, authentic, true, kind, generous, whatever your values are. And then and so that marketing is not a performance. So that marketing doesn't have to be about being fake, but it can be an opportunity to be authentic, aligned, an artist, to self-express, and to have marketing align with your moral frameworks. That's all the things that she literally said. And she actually asked the question, what happens when you start playing your own game, and doing things your way? What's possible? And then what happens? And so that's the invitation. We get burned out because we just, I think we can't help it, right? So many of us, I did this in the beginning, give our power away, whether it's a little bit or a lot, to gurus or other experts who have been there, done that. So of course they must know more than us, but nobody knows us better than ourselves. And that's what the archetypes are here to. If you understand yourself, it's much harder for you to give away your power, because you know better than that. And of course, we can sometimes make mistakes, right? But then we're like, wait, nope, coming right back. I know this is not right. This does not align with my values. This does not feel good. And you know what? I'm going to trust myself. And ultimately, I'm here my entire work and my work with clients is always to teach them to trust themselves. To me, that is the greatest asset that you have in your business. It's certainly the greatest one that you have in your life. And it comes from a place of genuine curiosity and self-awareness, and the ability to ask questions and to not just blindly follow things. I don't care how smart, how accomplished someone is, they're still human, having a spiritual person having a very human experience, and they're not you. You are the expert in you. So how can you stay in your own power and embrace that brilliance that's within you, so that it's much more difficult for you to be swayed? And when you are, it's the lag time between being swayed and coming back to integrity and alignment is shorter.
Trust yourself. Wow. Such a simple statement, but a difficult one. When was the last time we trusted ourselves? That's really what it boils down to, because like you said, we're getting information from everywhere and everybody. And it does not only overwhelm you, but it confuses you. And you're right. You make it, if you don't follow, you mentioned pain points in marketing, and that kind of doesn't resonate with me, because I'm like, why do you want to bring up the negative? It's like there are certain ways, and everybody has their way of expressing themselves, but that was, yes, so spot on. And it all boils down to being that authentic you, but also trusting in that authentic you, because the stronger you get in believing your authentic self, the less you're going to be swayed by someone else's method of doing something. And that may work for them, but it doesn't work for you. And that's not a bad thing. You're right. It makes they often make you feel as though it's a bad thing, or you're not going to succeed if you don't do it this way. Right?
Well, that's shaming and fear tactics that also can activate trauma responses and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I think it's an important caveat to add about trusting yourself is that, one, that it's a practice. Really, it is a moment-to-moment practice of making either little tiny choices or medium choices or decisions or bigger ones, and then just reflecting back as feedback and saying, okay, where did I trust myself? Where did I go against the grain? Where did I feel a red flag and kind of override it, right? So there's a practice piece. And second, is that, trusting ourselves, we have to look at ourselves with compassion and grace. First, because we've all had trauma-ish happened in the past. We've all made mistakes that sometimes we ourselves might be the hardest critics to forgive ourselves from. You know, in the coaching world, I had a friend who invested $30,000 on a coach and she got nothing out of it, and then got bullied and couldn't get out of the it took her years to trust her decision making in hiring people and support even in her business, because she's like, man, if I did that, what else am I going to do wrong, right? And so I think having grace and compassion, first of all, and oftentimes, and I don't say this really to make people feel worse, I don't, but in many cases, when there is a poor decision that is made, quote unquote, where we don't like the results that came from them, there often was either a hint, a twinge, or a big like twist knot in the stomach of, oh, this doesn't feel right. But you know, in her case, she decided to override the red flag that said, this is not a good idea, there's something off. But she's like, no, this is such a respected person, and this is what I want, and I, you know, it's just right in front of me, let me just do it. And, you know, she regretted it the moment she signed the paper, you know, but we've all made those mistakes, and let's just look at them as opportunities, right? To understand our internal guidance system better, so that then we can understand this ecosystem in such a way that it, you know, we are more in partnership with it versus fighting it, right? And so, you know, everything is energy, as you were saying. So if something is true for you, it will feel light and expansive. If it is not true for you, it will feel heavy, constricted. So, and we've all had those feelings of when something like, God, that just doesn't feel good. Like I feel awful, or I feel tight, I feel stressed, versus I don't know why, it doesn't make any sense. Like, to take this trip and go, but it just feels so amazing. It just feels so right. I feel so light and open, right? There's a truth to that. The brain won't always know it. Our logic minds won't fully understand or have the data, but the energy speaks louder than the words, right? Than the brain. And so sometimes just using that simple tool of, how does this feel, right, to me? And for me, understanding my human design as a generator, I think I forget, like emotional clarity. This helped me and to understand that, you know, I need to let the high of the feeling, and then just sleep on it many times, just to see, okay, I went through the high and the low and I still feel the way I feel. Okay, that feels good. And sometimes I just know right away, like, this is a yes. That's it, you know? And so just giving yourself grace to understand yourself in so many ways, that you can understand the systems, like the lights, switches, all the fixtures within you. And then you're like, okay, this is what I need to make this decision. This is a yes. This is, I need to get back to you. And to be firm and solid in that without any, and if someone says shame you, you just tell them to go, you know, plant a banana somewhere, because you're like, I don't care what you think. I know what I need.
I'm sure that's not how you put it. Plant a banana.
No, the New Yorker in me definitely puts it stronger than that. And that's where we can stay true to ourselves and in integrity with ourselves. When a client said to me, I don't want to betray myself anymore, I was like, yes. And that was my mantra for this year. This is my year where I do not betray myself for money, for other people, for approval. So what does it look like to be in integrity and alignment with yourself, so you're not betraying the truth of your values for anything external to you?
That is so powerful. Stop betraying yourself. And it's a practice. We have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it until we understand that, yes. And because every day we have choices. Every day we're given choices. It doesn't matter whether you turn left or right, or you're going to go to that meeting or not, or whatever. Yeah, that's really, really powerful. Stop betraying yourself. Well, you've explained a little bit of holistic. I feel that there's a lot of holistic motion there, because the next question was, tell us what you mean by the holistic success and its connection to alignment. So you touched a little bit on the energy and the intuition and how powerful that is for each individual. Is there anything else you would like to add to that? Because I found that very fascinating that you said holistic success.
Yes. I think it's less the case now, but when I started my business in 2011, there was such a focus of compartmentalizing just the business. But then if you make the business such a big part of the pie of your life, imagine a pizza pie, right? And let's say the whole pie or a big part of it is just the business. There's very small slivers left for fun, for family, for health, for spiritual growth, for whatever, adopting a pet, having a child, family life. So there is an impact to how we show up and how we do business. And so holistic success to me means that you understand the impact that is your business decisions are having on all areas of your life. And then you make a conscious choice of starting with life first and designing the business to support the life that you desire. I think because otherwise, oftentimes, we're like, start the business and then that will create the life you want. But what happened is that model doesn't take into effect that, your values, your priorities, your season of life, your desires necessarily. Just like go make money and then life will be great and then you can go live your life. And that is actually what I did. When I started off my business, I was single and I said to myself, I will not date. I will not go out. I will not do anything until this business succeeds because then I will be successful. I will feel good about myself. I will have proven my worth. People will respect me, and then I'll have time to date. Well, that sucked. And I literally was working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, and just burying myself and hiding from the world and life and all the other fears that came with that kind of philosophy until I realized, no, if I am to design a business and I'm the creator of this, because I don't like rules and I don't like to be told what to do, I get to do it my way. How is this going to influence my life? So any client that comes to me, I ask, like, what is your life going to look like? How many hours are you going to, let's look at your life and design the business to support that, versus the other way around. So holistic success means that all areas of your life have a genuine opportunity to thrive, of which business is one component of that. It is not the dominant piece of your life. And if it is a conscious choice that it might take center stage for a particular season or time frame, but it won't be how it is all the time.
Right. Absolutely. It's being aware of our humanness, that we're not
Yes.
just machines to do business. Because,
And
yes, you're right.
that life is a beautiful, every day and every moment is unique. It will not be replicated, will not be recreated, and that we get to enjoy life. That every moment also informs the next moment, the next idea, the connection. Like it's a beautiful sunny day in Northern California. I want to hear the birds sing. I literally want to smell the roses. I want to walk my dog and say hello to my neighbors. Like this is living. So what does true living look and feel like for you, so you feel like you're enriched by your life, right? Not depleted from it.
Right. Right. That is so powerful. Really. We all need to learn from that. And especially women, because we always put everyone else first or all things first. So thank you for that. I want to delve in now to your incredible reference guide is what I call it. And that's, you told me earlier that
It's
that's how you
here.
see it. Yes, I have my copy too. Oh my gosh. This is one of the best reference books ever. I'm telling you. How now, before I go on about it, my question is, how is your book so unique? And just give us an idea of what people can garner from this, because there's so much packed in this book, and it's everything from learning your archetypes to even power words that you can use, different charts. I just love the way this is laid out. And I just want to give you free reign so you can tell us how it is so unique compared to anything else that's out there.
Well, first of all, when you look at it, right, the book it's 222 pages. It's all color and it's 8.5 by 11. And I didn't realize it until you, so I got a copy and you showed it. Like it's like a rainbow through the sides, and each of the archetypes are color coded on the side. And then there's like 15 examples of businesses that you can see that are examples of your archetypes. So this is a reference guide, and I wanted to create a manual, a guide of sorts. So once you know your archetype, it started as a funny conversation, like wouldn't it be cool if once you knew your archetype, you could give a book to your copywriter, to your branding person, to your business coach, to whoever's on your team and your team members, and say, look, this is me. Go help me create more of me in my business. And so the book outlines for each archetype 6 core areas: your natural manifesting style, marketing, how to market, team building, your leadership and money consciousness. I always forget all the other ones. Let me look here. It also looks at business model. What are the best business models for you? How to have a really, what's the best mindset? What are the key pitfalls that your archetype might encounter, and how to overcome them? And then each archetype has 3 examples in color of businesses that are a reflection of that archetype. So there's the mystic, right? So there's a girl that has a product line of essential oils that's uniquely her own. There's a coach who's very mystical. Her business is Sacred Alchemy. And then there is an artist, and how she is all about helping people become more self-expressed through her business. And she sews and does a whole bunch of other kinds of stuff too. And so, and there are also, like you mentioned, the matrix. There's also a matrix that consolidates, per archetype, your motivation to lead, your vision, your manifesting, your marketing, offer types, your team, how to create content, what systems to create, what are your superpowers, right? What's your kryptonite? How do you overcome that? And the keys to success. And so it really helps you in very both consolidated ways, but also very visually appealing and practical ways to see who you are in relation to other people. Like if you are a mystic, what are the best team members for you? And how your team can understand you so that they can help you work best. And then, like you said, even from like brand words, there's the whole page of different brand words, or even like here you can see like there are brand color suggestions, even of, it's hard to see my here, but brand color suggestions. And then why the examples of these businesses were picked, like mantras that you can expect or questions to ask when you get stuck. And so there are many, and there are also reflection questions. For example, what does being a visionary mean to you? How do you stay brave and embodied in your vision for yourself, when the world is trying to make you fit in and you're meant to stand out? And then there's also like one of the things that I added was the ascension journey of the leader. Is how do you, because it really is, once you kind of say yes to that sense of calling or to lead, it is kind of an initiation process, right? Kind of like, so there's like 6 stages that I kind of identified for myself. In terms of, there's the awakening, you feel the call, and then you're like, I don't want to do the call. Then you say yes to the call if you say yes to it. And then you have like dark nights of the soul, and you have some inner identity shifts, which was so painful for me. And then you start to come out, kind of, you see the light, kind of recalibrate it. And then you kind of say, you kind of transform and evolve in your sense of leadership. And so it's very practical, and it has really great insights and suggestions, and it can be really inspiring. The foreword is very beautifully written by my colleague Lindsay, and it really reminds us that we're here to create a better world and to lead in a way that is really an example for ourselves and others, and something that we can be proud of. And it really starts with, as you were saying earlier, an unhooking from old programming and structures and paradigms that we were taught about leadership and business that really don't serve us anymore. And there's a table in here about traditional leadership and Soulfluent leadership. And Soulfluent leadership is really about the we, not just the me. And it's about full self-expression and fulfillment and nourishment versus the hustle and, trying to fit in. And so it really talks about broadly, what does conscious leadership look like, and what can we expect for the future? Why does this work matter for us? How does knowing ourselves better really help us lead better and help lead us better in our businesses, and really create that ripple effect for a better world for all, while we are still staying really true to ourselves and enjoying the process as we go along.
Yes, absolutely. There is, like I said, the guide, the Soulfluent Leadership Guide has so much in it. And what I also love about it, Priscilla, is that you don't have to do it all at once. You can flip open a page, and that's what I love to do, and get inspired or think, oh my gosh, this is something I should look into and maybe do a little bit of work here, answer a question or two. And that's what I really love about it as well, is that it's not something you have to go from beginning to end. You can flip open, like I said, a page and delve into something that you're interested in, or find a topic that you need to research. It really is the best reference business soul fluent guide I have ever seen, and I highly recommend it to everyone. It's like I said, I love it. And once I got my copy, I just couldn't wait to talk to Priscilla. So it's a beautiful, beautiful book. And I know it took you a long time. You can tell that there's a lot of thoughtfulness gone into this. And there again lies your uniqueness and trusting yourself, because it is different. It is very unique. And but this is who you are, and you can really see it and feel it in the book for sure. So I appreciate that. And you did talk a little bit about the matrix chart, and I just wanted to touch very briefly on that, because I found it fascinating that you called the archetype superpowers, and then you have your kryptonite and the antidote chart. So it was unique strengths and challenges and navigating challenges. Maybe that's just one part of it, but I love the way it was laid out, because I could just at a glance see what my weakness was and what the strengths were. Just maybe explain that just very briefly to people, because I thought that was fascinating.
So the archetypes, the Soulfluent Leadership Archetypes, are quite rich and dense. You can go really deep with this work. And I also wanted to keep it very at a glance level too, so that we don't get lost in the weeds. And so for me as a mystic, my superpower is my intuition, my ability to hold space, for example, right? And really understanding that gave me permission to really stop trying so hard and just be myself. But self-doubt has always been my genuine kryptonite, trusting my abilities, trusting myself, paralyzing. And then, the antidote to that for the mystic is to be, I don't know if it was to be authentic or to be vulnerable. I think it's to be authentic. I can look in here. And so, I mean, there's so much more that you can say about just being authentic. What does that mean? But it's just the reminder that, yeah, just an invitation to normalize that this can be what happens, and that you're not stuck in that you can remember the energy of what it feels like to be authentic, or the energy of what it feels like to be genuine and vulnerable. And then that's the invitation, that's the energy that will get you to come back to the truth of who you are, to come back to center, to go back within to truth, really. And from that place, move forward, right? Not get stuck, because we all get stuck. Let me see here. Where's the overview matrix? I can't seem to find it here now in the book. Let's see, Matrix 27. Hold on. And just quickly, the book comes in two versions. You have the print version, as I do, which I highly recommend because it is a reference guide and it's in full color. But there is the Kindle version, which is also in color, if people really want that instead, because the book is $44. It is an investment, but it is something that you can come back to. So anyway, so for the mystic, their superpowers are intuitive, creative, and healing abilities. Their kryptonite, which is what stands in the way of them leading, is self-doubt, fear of embracing their spiritual gifts. And the antidote, which is the path to taking action and being fully self-expressed, is to be authentic. So it's just, in my case, just tell the truth. What is the truth here? What really, if I weren't trying to script it or overthink it, tell the truth. And when I get into the energy of what's true for me versus what I think is right, or what will be accepted, that opens an energy, that opens a portal and a gateway to connect, to communicate, not only with myself, but with others.
Wow. That last bit you just said was so powerful. That opens up the gateway, because that's the frequency. So trust yourself. And when you become that authentic individual, or in your case, because of your archetype, it's to speak from the heart,
Yeah.
then that will send out that frequency or vibration, and that will connect with whomever else is on that frequency. I always think of it as a radio, and you're dialing in, and when you can't reach the channel that you're reaching for, there's all that static. And until in your case with the archetype being a mystic, until you become in alignment with that energy, which means being authentic or true to yourself, then you're always going to have that static. But when you get there, the portal opens up. Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. I don't know if you could see that, but I'm very visual, so I have a whole thing of like, once you reach that, the energy just goes poof, and there's a doorway, and it just opens wide up. Yes, this is why it's so powerful, the work that you do, when you understand it too, from all the the energies, and that we're all an energy source, which can serve us or hinder us in every which way. So thank you for that. Oh, I'm so glad that last part was just so, for me, it was so powerful. Last words, any last words that you would like to share with our audience?
I believe in the power of simplicity, and I think simplicity is an art form, and it really comes from truth. I always tell people the truth is simple. It may not be easy, but the truth isn't complicated. And to trust your path and to trust yourself. I think that, and to have grace and patience along the way. I'm not the most patient person. So, waiting 10 years to get to this point, or 6 years to develop a body of work, or 2 years to finalize this book. I channeled the entire book. That was easy. But then the finishing touches, and then I had to write the introduction, and I think was it the forward or the preface or something? But it took work to get it to trust. I was going to launch it last fall, but then I moved. I bought a house. My best friend died. I just had no energy to do it, and so I just had to trust. Let me do it when I'm fully ready. And then February 25th, I was ready. And I will say this, talking about frequency, this book was probably the only thing in my business that I have fully generated from the energy of love. This book was a gift to others and a gift to myself as an apprenticeship into this work. I did not do this to become an authority. I did not do this to sell copies. I did not do this to get on more podcasts. I knew it was a tool for that to happen as a result, but I didn't do it in order to attain a result that I thought would get my business further. I did it as from a total energy of love. And as you said, I think people feel that. I feel that. And from that energy, it guides me, it strengthens me, and it opens doors just from the energy from which it was created. So an important last word is the energy that you put into the creation of something, it influences the outcome of the energy of the product. So be aware of what is the energy when you're creating something that you're putting into it from the beginning.
Wow. There's a lot of leaders that could learn from that. That is so powerful, isn't it though? Oh my gosh. Because most of the time there's a lot of us who are unconscious, and we're just walking around on autopilot. And yeah, this is wonderful, wonderful work. And I have one last question here for you. Since we're on the epic vision zone, if your life were an epic story, what would the title be? And you can't use the title of your book, because I often have people give me the title of their book.
No. Just want to rephrase the question for a moment, if you can say it
Sure.
again, because yeah.
No problem. If your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
She believed in herself, and she could. Yeah. because it takes a lot, especially as a mystic, when you doubt yourself and you're coming up with so many internal red signals of fear, to believe with such depth that you do it in spite of it all. And
I
whether
love
it's
it.
fear or faith or money issues or life circumstances or health issues, I just want people to know, if you believe, that's why I really strongly believe in the Harry Ford quote, if you believe you, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And so just
Right.
believe and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Believe is a very powerful, energetic vibration. That's the people who are seeped in faith, that they're very faithful. That's strong because that's the belief. Yes. But, and I love that you said, because she can. That to me that made that whole title. She believed in herself because she can. That's a story, definitely. So I want to thank you so much, Priscilla, for joining us here today. I have learned so much, and I'm sure everyone else is going to, from this enlightening conversation. I'm asking everyone to be sure to check out Priscilla's website at priscillastephan.com and get yourself into that test or whatever it is that she has to determine what your archetype might be. I'm going to
The
go and do
quiz,
it
yeah.
myself. Yeah, the quiz, yes, because I'm going to jump in there. I didn't realize it was there because I can't wait to find out what mine is and then put it to work. And also be sure to check out her book, the Soulfluent Leadership Business Guide. I will have it here one more time because it is absolutely a gem. And I can feel the energy coming from it for sure. And you can also find all of her contact information on the Epic Vision Zone bio pages. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath and check out how you can become an epic entrepreneur at janeapplegath.com and get your free downloads, the keys to your dreams success. And I thank you all. This has been the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dreams into epic success.